What's up, guys? Michael Aran here with Author Level Up, helping you write world-class stories better and faster. And I create these videos because I believe that each of you has an inner J.K. Rowling and you just need help unlocking it. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and click that little bell, ding, 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 to get notifications every time I have a new video. Now, you're probably noticing that I've been doing, over the past week or two, a little bit different format videos. And that's because I've been really hard at work on a new project that I want to share with you guys and get your feedback on. So we're going to switch over to my computer, but the name of this video is how to calculate your royalties faster and easier. And I think I've come up with a pretty interesting solution to help save you some time and help you be more efficient when you're calculating your royalties. So quick show of hands. Who else loves calculating your monthly royalty statements? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I mean, come on, don't you just sit down with a glass of wine on a Friday night and relish every minute of it? Now, I'm a pretty geeky guy, but even that doesn't get me excited. I don't get out of bed in the morning thinking, you know what? Today is going to be the day where I enjoy doing my royalty statements. In fact, I would posit to you that calculating author royalties is a royal pain in the smiley face. It's just not fun. And I've heard from a number of you on this topic, and you've told me that you spend several hours a week doing this, or a month doing this, if you do it at all. This has become one of my great frustrations as a self-published writer. And the reason it has become a frustration for me is because I don't have unlimited amounts of time. You guys know that I am raising a family. I'm in law school classes in the evenings. I've got a full-time job, and I want to write books and write novels and create content for you guys. I don't have 4 hours per month to sit down and do my royalty statement. So here's my problem. I've got 50 books, around 50 books at the time of this video, which is a lot of books. It's not too shabby compared to your average author. Now, I don't do Kindle Unlimited. I've only got one book in Kindle Unlimited right now, so that means 49-ish of my books are wide. So Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Kobo, you name it, right? 10 plus retailers. That means I get 10 plus royalty statements every month that I have to sit down and go through and figure out how much my books made. And until I stopped doing this, it was taking me about 4+ hours per month to track all this stuff. I mean, it's just, the humanity. I mean, it's agonizing, you know? Unless you're a data person, I imagine most authors are not data people. This is not fun. We'd rather be writing fiction. We'd rather be in the land of a story. This is not what we want to be doing. So the problem for me specifically, and this is a unique problem for me, but the more books that you write, this is going to become a problem for you as well, is that the more books you have, the more time you're going to have to spend on your royalties, which means that's going to create more problems for you. The more books you have, the more retailers you have, the more complicated your situation becomes. So I want to talk about what I have done in the past to try to solve this problem, because I have tried everything. Okay, I've tried everything, and we're going to talk about everything I've tried, and we're going to talk about how I found a light at the end of the tunnel here. So method number one is what I like to call the cute little Excel spreadsheet. I imagine many of you probably have done this, and I'm gonna throw a spreadsheet image on the screen. This is my first attempt to calculate my book's royalties in my first year of publishing in 2014. And it worked okay for me for a time, but it wasn't sustainable. Now you can see on the screen that I've got tabs along the bottom for each of my books. Now basically, this format stopped working. It broke after about 5 to 6 books, because as you can see, I made the architectural mistake of having a book per tab. You imagine how many books I have now and what a scrolling nightmare that would be? Yeah, this didn't last very long. Now, I got a little bit wiser, and I said, okay, you know what? This didn't work. I'm going to try something different. So here's what we are going to do. I am going to create a custom spreadsheet, but I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. I've learned some things, I've made some failures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire an Excel guru, somebody who understands Excel, the inner nuances and the ins and outs and the macros and the VBA and all that stuff. And I'm going to have this guy do a spreadsheet for me so that I can make it easier to track my royalties. So, at this point, I think I was spending about 2 hours per month, and I was just getting tired of it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to pay my way out of this problem. I'm going to hire somebody on, I think it was on Fiverr somewhere, and didn't pay very much for it. I think I paid about $75. And this guy put together a wonderful spreadsheet for me. In fact, let me show it to you. So this was a spreadsheet that he put together for me, and basically, this tab that you see here is all the raw data. So I had to take all the sales data from my royalty statements and then transport them onto this tab here. And then, it's pretty decent, right? It has all the information that I need except for countries and things. And then what he was able to do was he was able to use macros and some advanced stuff to help me visualize my data, because I think that's something that we all need. We need to be able to visualize our data. We can look at the cold, hard numbers, but when you start to break it into charts and pie charts and bar graphs and things like that, it makes a little bit more sense. And so this was very helpful for me, to be honest with you. You can get someone to do this for you on Fiverr. It's really not a problem. But the bigger problem was the fact that I still had to transport my data from my royalties sheets onto this sheet. And that took a significant amount of time. So while this looks great and it helped me for a few years, it didn't really solve my problem, and it wasn't scalable. All right, so method number 3 was a method I said, you know what, this is so agonizing, I just can't do this anymore. So I tried to hire a virtual assistant to do this for me, and I had to pay money for it, but fortunately I was making a little bit more money in my publishing business. And I gave detailed instructions to this virtual assistant. I told him exactly what data to take off of the royalty sheets, what data to put on to the new royalty sheet, and I made it really easy for him. And he sent me an email one day after about 2-3 months of doing this, and he said, Michael, my job is hell. I can't do this anymore. I don't understand how any author can make sense of all of this crap. And so that was his resignation letter. He quit because it was too hard. So now I have a double problem. It's a pain in the ass for me, and second, I can't find a virtual assistant who will do this for me. I mean, it is the perfect kind of hell to give your virtual assistant. Hey, virtual assistant, I would love for you to calculate my royalties for every month. I've got a job for you. Yeah, good luck with that. So that didn't work. So my next method was just that I quit. I said, I can't do this anymore. I've got about 20 books at this point. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I could not think about doing my royalty statements. I would eyeball my money on Amazon and my money on other retailers. I'd look at my bank account, and I'd have a somewhat semblance of an idea of how much money I was making, but I just stopped doing the paperwork. And I said, I'm not gonna attempt this again until I can find a better way to do it. Fast forward about 3 to 4 years, and I think I found it. Now, we're going to talk about some things that I'm going to show you that I hope are helpful. This is just the first part of what I'm going to show you. So if you're thinking to yourself at the end of this video, I'm not seeing this, just stick with me. Just stick with me and watch next week's video, and everything is going to make sense. Now, I had an idea. What if I could automate my royalties? See, I was doing everything backwards. I was building these rinky-dinky spreadsheets. I didn't have any knowledge of Excel. Authors in Excel don't mix, kind of like oil and water, right? We're just not numbers people, generally speaking. And I tried to hire somebody to help me with this, but I hired somebody to help me with a backwards process because I had no idea what I was hiring for. So instead, what if I could automate my royalties, cut the middleman out of the whole situation, and find a better way to do it? What if I could have a program do my royalties without me having to do very much at all? Now, as I said before, what you're about to see is just one part of the project that I have been building over the past few weeks, which is why I'm doing these different style videos. But my goal was to automate my royalties each month. That was my North Star. Can I do it? Can I do it without spending any money? Now that's where it got a little difficult because, we could spend money on these things. There are solutions out there that can help us, but can I do it without spending any money and using the resources that I have? Because, well, we're in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic, and so, got to hold on to my money a little bit. So step one was to make my royalty statements easier to read. Can I make them easier to read? So my first hurdle is Amazon. So KDP royalties are probably the report that you use the most and probably the reports that you spend the most time on. Now, many of you are probably thinking, well, I just use Book Report. Okay, that's fine. I use Book Report every day. There's nothing wrong with Book Report. I wholly endorse Book Report. Totally fine. But Book Report will allow you to download your data, but it doesn't give you all of the data that you can get on your Amazon sheet. And what if one day Book Report were to go away, right? I mean, so we need a more sustainable way to track our stuff and be able to estimate our royalties more accurately, because Book Report is just an estimate. So here's the big problem with the Amazon royalty reports. The first problem is that if you look at the royalty reports, they don't do currency conversions. Now, I don't understand this. Amazon is one of the richest companies in the world. You can't put a currency converter in your Excel spreadsheet. So if I'm looking at what I get paid every month, I'm looking at dollars, because I live in the United States, and then I'm looking at, 200 rupees, and then I get paid in 200 Great Britain pounds. Well, how do I know how much that is? You have to go to another report on the Amazon dashboard under the Payments tab to figure out what the exchange rates are for any given month. And then if you want to know how much money you accurately made per book, then you've got to do this complex calculation. I know a lot of people probably listening are probably saying, Michael, you're nuts. I would never do that. That's crazy. But isn't it valuable to know how much you made per book on Amazon per different marketplaces? I kind of think it is, and I don't think you can really do your royalty statements, and I don't think you're doing your business any kind of justice if you don't have that data. So I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this, because I look at these reports every month. Is there a way to look at the report and show me how much money I'm making per book? That's just the first baby step, right? Can I make this KDP report easier to read? And so I started playing around with Excel macros, and let me show you what I built. So we're here inside one of my sales reports, and I'm going to show you what this macro that I've created does. So if I go to my macro tabs and I select a macro that I have created here for this, here's what will happen. All right, so it did a lot of stuff, and you don't really need to know what's on the left side of the screen here. But if I scroll over, all the way over, I now have an adjusted currency. So I built a currency converter directly into the spreadsheet. So essentially, all you have to do now is just scroll over, and you can see the correct currency that you will be paid for, or that you were paid for that month. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be pretty close. And the only thing you have to do in order to get that is go to the exchange rates tab here, and then just put in the exchange rates for the month, and then it will automatically update with the corrected currency. And I've even preserved the original report just in case you need it. So one click, it does all this for you in 5 seconds. I think this makes the data a lot easier to read, because now I know exactly what I'm getting paid. Now that macro works in just 5 seconds, right? Now I have a royalty report from Amazon that now has all of the correct information on it. Now this is very helpful for a number of reasons. Now I know what exchange rates are applied to my individual book sales, which means I know exactly how much a given book or series is making me per month. That is the first step to a meaningful understanding of your monthly and yearly royalties. But quickly, I want to do a gut check. I want everybody to comment on what you just saw. Give me some feedback. Help a brother out. Would you find what I just showed you helpful? Would you want it? Drop me a comment or click the YouTube card at the top of the screen. Take a quick poll. Let me know. Give me some feedback. I need that gut check. I plan on giving that macro away for free, so if you want it, just join my fan club and I will let you know when it's ready. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that's great. It's kind of a cool little thing. But now what? Right? Well, we still have one major problem. even if I were to run macros on all of my Amazon reports, and even if I put together macros for Kobo and Barnes & Noble and Drafted Digital, which they do the currency conversions for you, by the way. Amazon's the only oddball that doesn't do that. So it's far less complicated. The problem is that I still have a bunch of spreadsheets that don't do me very much good. Remember what I said earlier about transferring data from one spreadsheet to the next. That's not sustainable. We cannot do that when you have more than 5 books, right? So you could combine them in Excel for those of you who are more data gurus, but that would still also be difficult, and you would have a hard time getting the data to match up. And what I have learned, and this is just my own personal experience having been to the rodeo about 4 or 5 times on this, is that Microsoft Excel is not the tool that we should be using for this. The more royalties we get, and we put those into a spreadsheet, it just makes Excel run very slowly, and it, in some cases, can even break Excel if you don't know what you're doing. And as I said, authors in Excel are like oil and water. They don't mix. So I thought about this problem, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I had another idea. And that idea was, what if I could store all of my royalty information in a database? Now, what is a database, right? A database is very simple. We use databases every day. When you go to the library and you want to figure out what the library has, you go to the computer and you type in the books you're looking for, and it returns the books in the database that the library has, right? So databases are very simple, and believe it or not, we can actually build them and it doesn't cost anything at all. So what if there was a database that could store all of my royalty information, not just for Amazon, but also for Barnes & Noble and Kobo and Drafted Digital and all the other places that I get paid from now until the end of time? And what if I could use that database in a way to find out more data? All right. Now, the next idea was, what if I could ask that database virtually any question about my sales? Now, you can ask Siri on your phone many different things. Well, what if you could do that with a database in some way? What if I could get answers to questions that I desperately want to know that I can't get today? For example, what were all of my royalties combined last year on all the retailers that I sell on? You can use Book Report to find Amazon, but what about Kobo? What about Barnes & Noble? Do you want to add all those together up on a spreadsheet? What if you want to break down by book? How are you going to do that? Maybe there's a solution. How many audiobooks did I sell on Audible and Find Away Voices last year, right? Well, you'd have to combine those spreadsheets to find that data. What are the top 5 countries where I sell my books across all the retailers? So maybe I made a killing on Amazon Germany, but what about Kobo in Germany? Or what about Kobo or not Barnes & Noble, goodness gracious. But what about like Drafted Digital or other places or Publish Drive, right? What did I do in Germany there? Do I have opportunities? What about how profitable is my fantasy series, right? These are all questions that I know that you have on a daily basis, but you can't ask them because you don't have the right tool to do it. And quite frankly, no service or vendor that I know of can answer these questions today. But I think I have solved this problem. Now, again, is what I'm proposing a magic bullet? No. But what I'm about to show you next can potentially save you hours per month and give you insights into your book sales data that you've never had before. Do I have your attention? Are you intrigued? Well, tune in next week to see the tool, because it's going to be something that is it's a tool that has probably been on your computer and you've probably never paid any attention to it. Or maybe it's a tool you've heard of, but you've never given it any thought. And if you are a Windows user, then you probably have it on your computer, or you can get it very easily. If you are a Mac user, it may be a little bit more difficult. But we can do this with the tools that we already have, and it doesn't have to cost us very much money. So if I have your attention, I want you to tune in next week. I also want you to join my mailing list, because you just may find out a little bit more information about this before next week. And I've also got a survey that I would love for you to take to help me get some more information about this and how you guys handle this problem, because I'm very curious about it. So with that, I just want to say thank you for watching. I appreciate you bearing with me on the format change this week. Next week, we're going to have another video, and I hope that showing you this tool is going to be something that you can find very helpful. So with that, don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.
Perfect.